So what steps can you take? How do you get prepared? Number one, it is exceptionally important to look for a PR company because it's not something you can handle on your own. The task is too big. Now, there are many PR companies, and some are very good, and I think some are very poor. Many of them want a monthly retainer. I don't think that's very good either. There are some that will take a project-by-project basis, and then you've got to find the good ones. In the break, we'll put a leaflet on your desk from a PR company called Horizon, because I've worked with them on a lot of things and they are very good at this. And part of the things they can organise, like any PR company, is media training. How do you handle something like this? Or if the media calls about anything, how should you handle that? And they're a very simple training process that gets you ready for the day when something could happen, even if it's own local media, because you say the wrong thing and that tears your business apart. So PR is important. What you do is you develop key messages about your business, about your company. The number two thing I learned from the McDonald's days after that early environmental issue, they started to develop what we called a trust bank. They started to do a lot of work with the community. Some of the things they even did was to take journalists to Blacktown at the meat processing plant because they were accused of their beef not being 100%. So they took them to the processing plant where they could actually see what was happening and ask questions. And over time, the whole media mindset started to change to McDonald's. And being involved in the community with Ronald McDonald's House and then Ronald McDonald's Children's Charities and many other things put them in good stead. And in fact, when the Fairlight Legionnaire's disease came, the health department sat with McDonald's and said, the budget's just about to be released. Why don't we wait until that's released and we'll release this story? Therefore, it will not be front page, it will get buried several pages back. Because they'd built such credibility with the health department and the media, the government was willing to work with McDonald's in the release of the story. So they did media training, and I've had media training twice at Gloria Jeans because of stories that were coming up that we knew there were going to be interviews. They got me trained. It gives you a whole different way to tackle the media when that happens and have a positive outlook. Your software, what happens if you lose your servers and all your system? You need to be backing that up, and it needs to be taken off-site. You have it on-site, makes it really difficult. We did not back up off-site. Our guy who was doing it had a very convoluted process of doing it, and to his credit, he worked tirelessly, and we retrieved every bit of information off service of the things out that looked like they were dead, burnt to a frazzle. But to his credit, he pulled everything bar 2 days of records, particularly financial records, which are important. You need to have a communication plan. Who are you going to communicate to? You see, in Mercy Ministries, there are a lot of key stakeholders. Firstly, how are you going to communicate back to the media? How are you going to communicate to the board? How are you going to communicate to the staff? How are you going to communicate to parents in the program? Parents of the girls in the program, then the girls, then your volunteer base out of there, and then all the people who donate to the businesses that are on site. There was like 8, 9, 10, and Mark did a phenomenal job in having what they called the war room in the main meeting room, where everything was there, was organised and orderly, put together, information was coming in. We started to do it because it takes time to start to turn around because the media is in a feeding frenzy and they're not interested in the truth. But after time, some of the people starting to get a bit of traction, you've got to be ready to be able to deal with this. You've got to pick your mark of who you're going to talk to, what media you're going to deal with, and who is going to speak to them. You do not need the receptionist answering questions because they will not help the situation. So you've got to look after your software, your communication plan, and your insurance coverage. You need to get a good insurance broker. After this fire, I realised how important insurance was. We then had someone recommended to us after this who provided substantially better insurance coverage at half the premiums we were paying. And we were paying significant in 6-number figures of insurance premiums. We had better coverage. And I should have learnt the lesson a few years before with one of our young franchisees on the Gold Coast. In Cavill Avenue, a fire started in a donut shop, burnt through 10 stores. He was the second last one that went. His father, being a McDonald's franchisee, knew what type of insurance to have. he had business disruption. He was able to, couldn't work for some time, but his salary, everything was covered, and he sailed straight through that because he had ideal insurance coverage. Having insurance coverage because it's cheap and inadequate will not work for you. Relationships with supply. One of the key things for us, I mentioned yesterday, was that our suppliers said, we'll keep supplying you, even those overseas, while you go through this, we know you'll pay us some time. That's when you've built a relationship with your suppliers. It doesn't mean you're paying premium for product, you've negotiated, but you build a relationship and they're on the journey with you. One of the key things McDonald's did was they pulled together a war team. Whenever a disaster was going to happen in the future, it involved the CEO, the COO, it involved the marketing person, it involved someone from the PR company, someone from the ad agency, and if they felt, they'd be people nominated. And nothing may ever happen in the future, but one did, and they called all those people, they all assembled in a hotel room in the city, and that's where they worked from to write ads, to do things, to get PR releases. So they're able to work together without any other disruption. So you've got to work out who's going to come together when that time happens.